Sunday, the 7th of May, we're on the Turffontein standside track for a 9-race program with the first race getting off at 11:50. As always, for Highveld race meetings, we're joined on the line by Alistair Cohen. Morning, Alistair. How are you doing?
Morning, Graham. Yep, all good, thank you. It's actually a nice card. I find it a tricky card, but tricky for all the right reasons. I think the fact that we got the World Sports Betting Gold Bowl delayed by a week just adds to a little bit of spice to the meeting. There's obviously an ROA Highveld Awards up for grabs when it comes to Champion Stayer, so that race will certainly go a long way to determining who is Champion Stayer of the Highveld for the season. So yeah, nice card, even though the season's officially over and moved down to KZN for Champion season. There's still a lot to like at this Turffontein card.
Yeah, and the much vaunted Cleaver Green makes his return after more than a year on the sidelines. He ran second to Master Archer back on the 2nd of April. We haven't seen him since, and it's nice to see him return to racing action.
And there's a lot of good noise coming out of the camp with regard to Cleaver Green as well. Be interesting to see how he goes up against horses that are likely aiming at Hollywoodbets Scottsville in a month from now. But we'll learn a lot coming out of race number 6 and race number 7. Those are definitely the two highlights on the card.
We'll get to those in a moment. Let's kick off with race 1, which does not form part of the exotics. The bipot will start in race 2, being a 9-race card. We've already had 2 scratchings, number 4 King's Ransom and number 7 Statesman, reducing this juvenile plate field down to 5 runners, but an interesting race nonetheless. Number 6, Sandringham Summit, 9-10, top of the boards, 1.7 million rand yearling, ran second to Lucky Lad on debut. We know exactly what Lucky Lad's come out and done subsequent to that. And number 3, Barbaresco, also a big debut, currently at 14-10. It looks a match race on paper. Which way are you leaning, Alistair?
I'm leaning towards number 6, Sandringham Summit here, Graham. It is a little bit of a question mark that he's been off for 64 days when you consider there would have been plenty of juvenile races for David Nevenhazen to target, especially with him being up and running for 100,000 rand from the BSA incentive bonus. So, you know, there probably would have been spots over the last 2 months that he could have landed, but here we are in what looks to be a boat race, as you say. The lines of form suggest that Sandringham Summit's the right one. He ran Lucky Lad to less than a length, and Barbaresco ran a length and a half behind Pure Predator. Pure Predator was a length and a half behind Lucky Lad on Champions Day a week ago. So I think that points everything to number 6 Sandringham Summit to get out the maidens in the small field. He is a half brother to Group 1 winner Eden Rock, who won at Hollywoodbets Scottsville about 5 years or so ago. So the genetics are there, and I think number 6 Sandringham Summit will win. 3 Barbaresco second trace. I'm interested to see how number 1 Ampersand goes. The debut was very good. The second run wasn't when going over a mile. Maybe coming back to a sprint, he can give them a fright, but I think he'll ultimately just fall short of the big 2.
And of course, there's a very well-bred first time in the form of number 5, Lion's Eye, racing in the Hollywood Syndicate Silks, the 2-year-old son of Silvano. But let's move on to race 2, which does form part of the exotics. It's the first leg of the bipot. It's a juvenile plate for fillies over 1,160 metres, a much bigger field, 10 runners carded. At this early stage, we record the day before, no scratchings. Number 10, Woman of Fame, the favourite at 5-2. Number 2, Calantha, first timer from the Mike de Kock stable at 3-1. Number 1, Rose Tinted at 7-2. 8, Stormy Choice 11-2. And number 7, Moving In at 8-1. Those are the ones quoted in single figures. How are we going to play the opening leg of the bipot?
I'm very keen on number 7 Moving In here, Graham. Gavin Lorena takes her out for Johan Janssen van Vuren. I thought the debut was fair behind Cullinan Blue. Cullinan Blue looked really dangerous in the fillies nursery a week ago until the final 200 metres when first, second and third, or first and second pulled away from her over the closing stages. But I think there's a lot to like. I mean, when you look at Heirloom and the fact that she carries quite a bit of impetus to the form in this race, Heirloom was very, very well beaten by Cullinan Blue in the fillies nursery. So I'm keen on number 7 Moving In. I wouldn't write off the chances of number 10 Woman of Fame. She's due another chance or two. I think even though she hasn't won, she's shown enough to suggest that a win's got to be around the corner, and the fact that she's back 22 days later and not 122 days later suggests that Sean Terry's happy with her. Red Hot Rose ran a lovely race in the fillies nursery as well. A little bit of a question mark, the fact that Champimpi didn't rip up any trees during the week at Turffontein, but number 10 Woman of Fame is definitely a horse that you've got to be on side with. So I'm going to go 7 from 10, and I think they're the only 2 that you need in the bipot unless the market speaks volumes come race time.
Race 3 on the card is a progress plate over 1,800 metres. The opening leg of the place accumulated due for 12.55. Now, we only got 6 runners. but it's clearly very competitive. The early favourite is number 4, Laguna Verde, who disappointed last time. That's quoted at 5-2. Number 2, Pyromaniac at 28-10. Number 6, Raffles, 3-1. The very capable number 1, Profit with Stratum aboard, is at 4-1. Number 3, Argo Alley, 6-1. And the outside of the 6-horse party is number 5, Diesel and Dust at 14-1. So the betting suggests it's a very competitive affair. Laguna Verde is the best in on ratings, on official handicapping ratings, but disappointed last time. Can he do better here, Alistair?
Graham, I do not like this race at all. I think you need 3 horses on the place accumulator. For example, number 2, Pyromaniac, I think pound for pound is the best horse in the race, but not once did he given the impression that 1800 metres is what he's looking for. He ran a shocker in the Drum Star last time. Finally had a bad draw, but he didn't look dangerous at all. And the only other time over 1800 metres was in the South African Classic. So was he outgunned or did he not stay? Could be one or the other, could even be both. So I'm gun-shy with number 2, Pyromaniac. I'm gun-shy with number 4, Laguna Verde, who, as you say, was very disappointing last time out. Again, and the only time he went this trip was in the South African Classic. You could use the same argument for him as I've just used the Pyromaniac. Was he outclassed or did he not stay? I'm not sure. And then number 6, Raffles, has not given me the impression that he'll go 1800 metres ever. And here we are going 1800 metres with number 6, Raffles, and he's quite high up on the betting board. In fact, he's not without a prayer. So I think out of those 3, there's not very reliable sort of consequences with any of them. I think number 1, Profit, is alive here. I thought his run in the World Sports Betting Sledgehammer 3 weeks earlier was fair behind Lord William. He wasn't stopping. He was unlucky, and I'd go in with him as my top choice, but a very, very soft top choice because he's got to give weight away to the likes of Pyromaniac and Laguna Verde. He's got to give a lot of weight to his fellow 3-year-old Laguna Verde and Raffles. So I'm going to take a chance on Profit, but I'm not mad about the race at all.
Slightly tongue-in-cheek, I'm suggesting you put 4 horses in the place accumulator to avoid the possibility of running 4th, 5th and 6th. But we move on to race 4, maiden plate over 1400 metres. This is the opening leg of the pick 6. And again, it's a competitive race. The average merit rating is 65. Number 1, Archimedes, tops the boards at 5-2. Number 10, You're My Sunshine, is at 3-1. Number 2, Celtic Rush, is at 6-1 the first time, and number 9, Total Surrender, is at 7-1. They're betting 10s and better the balance. Doesn't look a tough race to win. Can Archimedes get it right?
I think of the race runners he can, but Graham, I did hear a word about number 9, Total Surrender. He is a half-brother to second base who ran second in the Grade 1 Champions Challenge just over a week ago. He is by Flower Alley, and seeing that second base was probably at his best over 1,800, 2,000 metres. I'd anticipate that Total Surrender would be pretty much cut from the same cloth, but it is a race that won't take much winning. From a pick 6 perspective, we can use the first-timer rule to our advantage, so we don't necessarily need him, but he would be right up there. Number 1, Archimedes, would be my first choice just from a reliability point of view. He returned from a 3.5-month layoff with a good run behind Pontiac when setting the pace. He'll be better, he'll be fitter, and he's going to get it right one of these days. I think if he doesn't win, he'll go very close. Number 1, Archimedes. The only bad run on the radar, he had valid excuses. He came back with a mouth injury when he was expected to run very well. And I remember him going down to the start that day on the 2nd of January. I watched him closer, very closely indeed. And he didn't look the part on that occasion. But I think on all other 3 starts, he's been fine. So valid excuses for the bad run from number 1, Archimedes. The fact that he's now taken a backward step. He's taken 2 steps backwards to go 3 steps forward, I think, number 1, Archimedes. So top choice over number 9, Total Surrender, for whom there is a little bit of talk for. And then number 10, You're My Sunshine. I was on his side last time and he ran a shocker. I think going up 400 metres will suit him because he's got absolutely no pace in the early stages. He stayed on strongly in his first start. He was exactly the same in the second start, to be fair. The mother stayed all day, Louisiana. She was trained by Brett Crawford. I think she got a bit of black type over ground. So this step up in distance will also suit number 10, You're My Sunshine. But I'm of the opinion that he'll still need a little bit further. But because this is a shallow race, he's not without a chance.
Race 5, first leg of the first jackpot. Maiden plate over 1,400 metres for the fillies and the mares. And again, it's not a very high-class race. It's an MR62 average-rated maiden, and there are a number of them in the betting. Number 12, Damo Star, is at 7-2. Number 1, Heart of Eternity at 9-2. Number 2, Count Your Chances at 5-1. Number 3, A Touch of Sugar at 11-2. 5, Titicaca Pearl, and 7, Azucar at 7-1. We were all over Azucar last time. I disappointed badly when backed in from 6-1 to 18-10, ran no kind of a race. So I'm not quite sure what to expect of him here, but this is another maiden plate that is not going to take a lot of winning.
100%, Graham. Well, I've got my suggested bets is the first jackpot, and I've got number 7, Azucar, in because I do not want to forget about her run later and go out with her because I was keen on her last time out. My top choice, though, is the full sister to Feather Boa, number 12, Damo Star, who put up a fair debut behind Zanovi. She was a tad unlucky not to finish a bit closer. Do I think she's going to be as good as Feather Boa? I certainly have my doubts, but she doesn't need to be anywhere near as good as Feather Boa to win this race. So I think she would have learned a lot. The extra furlong will suit number 12, Damo Star, and I put her on top, but I have respect for the following. Number 1, Heart of Eternity. It's actually interesting. Erica Verdenese has got 2 lively chances, and when looking at the form, I was more keen on number 5, Titicaca Pearl, over number 1, Heart of Eternity. But when Gavin Lorena rides for Erico, you got to take note. So his engagement on number 1, Heart of Eternity, is certainly worth looking at. 5, Titicaca Pearl ran third to Platina Princess last time. Platina Princess is a filly that I think is going to run in the group races in KZN this season. So the form might not be as bad as it looks or as first thought anyway. So 5, Titicaca Pearl goes in. And my other horses, obviously, as mentioned, number 7, Azucar, and number 2, Count Your Chances. I've just put her in because I liked enough of what I saw last time, and she gets blinkers on for the first time as well. So she might finish a little bit closer this time around. It's a similar type of race than what she met last time. If she could run third to Mia Fiore, she could very easily get into the money here.
Tough race, race 5, the first leg of the first jackpot. Race 6 is the first leg of jackpot 2, being a 9-race card. It's a Pinnacle Stakes over 1,160 metres, due off at 14:40. Very good race. This is where we see the return of number 7, Cleaver Green, who's been priced up a weak favourite at 4-1. Number 1, Supreme Warrior, 13-2. Number 2, Under Your Spell at 6-1. Number 6, Maharani at 6-1. 4, Smorgasbord, 8-1, along with number 9, Hit 'em Hard Sunshine at 8-1. Godswood at 10-1. Bigger prices about the balance. So, like you said earlier, we're going to have to take Cleaver Green's fitness on trust.
1, 2, 7, and 9, my ideas of the winner here. Number 7, Cleaver Green, could not be a confident first selection, but as mentioned at the top of the show, Graham, the noise coming out of the, well, not necessarily of the Descartes camp, but more from the ownership and riding side of things, is that number 7, Cleaver Green's in good order and in good shape. Has run the Man of War, although coming 400 days ago, so what turned out to be the computer form sprint winner was full of merit. Even the second to Alula Star, who subsequently won the was it the Magnolia on Betway Summer Cup Day. All of those pieces of form look really encouraging. This will be his biggest test to date. It will definitely be a good gauge to see exactly where he's going. And as mentioned, I think quite a few of these will be targeting Hollywoodbets Scottsville in the coming months, including number 7, Cleaver Green. My top choice, though, will be number 1, Supreme Warrior. I think this is a horse out the top drawn towards the outside as well, which is a huge benefit down the Turffontein straight. There has been a little bit of rain around the Highveld over the last week, so that's going to benefit him even more. And if you think back to his run in the KZN Guineas, the World Sports Betting KZN Guineas a year ago, he finished a short head behind Zapatias when he actually ran like a sprinter, and he tried to get away with one that way. So I think number 1, Supreme Warrior, is the horse that I'm going to follow in this race. Many people forget that Under Your Spell is a Group 1 winner over 1,200 metres at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. Proper filly as well. Her run the Empress Club Stakes was flat. She's a lot better than that. Donald Heertsen takes a valuable 2.5 kilos off the back. She's not got her legs tied up. And there were 50 kilos on the back. Number 9, Hit 'em Hard Sunshine, who was all the rage last time on Empress Club Day. Didn't raise the gallop. I think he was a little bit too far back, and with such a light weight, I'm going to follow him for another start or two.
And just to mention Eden Rock, 50 kilograms on its back, on best form, must have a chance. And we were saying earlier that his half-brother, Sandringham Summit, is fancied to win the opener on the day. So they're looking to keep it in the family, perhaps. But it's a competitive Pinnacle. All depends on just how Fit and well, Cleaver Green is coming into the race, but he has been priced up a week 4-1 favourite. But as you heard there from Alistair, certainly big chances for Supreme Warrior, and Under Your Spell looks well in with the apprentice allowance taking off 2.5. The World Sports Betting Gold Bowl, 3,200 metres. We discussed this race at length last time, except to say that Nebras has somehow found his way into the field.
Somehow, correct. I know that the other 7 connections aren't too pleased with how that's all worked out, and Sean Terry must have been thinking to play the lotto when Nebras was suddenly able to come back into the Gold Bowl. I think he's held by Shangani, although Nebras has come out 7 days apart already this season and won the Caradog Gold Cup. So it's certainly a formula that works for the son of Vercingetorix. I think the more he races, the harder he gets, the better he is. But he's got 2 kilos inferior with Shangani for a quarter of a length. So that definitely steers me into the direction of Shangani between the two, although Nebras cannot be ruled out. And then obviously we got the Armagam factor. Last time 3 1/4 lengths behind Nebras. They meet on 2 kilo better terms in favour of Armagam, but I think this extra trip will suit him to no end. So 1, 2, and 3 are my numbers. A top choice here for Wayo Mawing's runner, number 3, Armagam. I know for a fact that they've targeted this race for the son of Duke Marmalade throughout the entire season. Since winning on Summer Cup Day, this has always been the target for him. I'm sure he'll come down to KZN as well for the Gold Vase and also for the Gold Cup. But as far as Halfholz is concerned, number 3, Armagam, has been teed up for this. So you've got to take that on board. And quite frankly, I don't think the other horses, despite getting a lot of weight, are quite at the same class as numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Interesting race because of the weight structure. Shangani has won his only start over 3,200 metres when winning, of course, last season's Gold Cup. Ramagam has also won his only start over 3,200 metres, so they have no stamina doubts. Nebras always chimes in there, and you've got to respect him. Alistair, a quick word before we move on. You mentioned there was some rain around. Now, this race will be testing even in good conditions. If the track is very soft, that's going to sway matters even further, possibly in favour of a Ramagam.
Yeah, no doubt. He's had 1 start in the soft, rather 1 win in the soft, and that came in the Java handicap when beating Razor Hallelujah by a short head win. I think the biggest attribute with Armagam is the fact that he's got a lot of heart and a lot of tenacity, and when he gets into a fight, he doesn't shirk it. So, yeah, as you say, the fact that it's going to become a taxing 2 mile and he's guaranteed stayer, although so is Shangani, and Nebras is no mug over this trip as well. I think the lightweight will certainly sway things into the son of Duke Marmalade's favour.
Race 8, the penultimate, is a Fillies and Mares 90 handicap over 1,000 metres, due off at 15.50. And it looks a pretty competitive handicap. Number 5, Rosara, is at 4-1. Number 8, Civil Princess, tops the boards at 2-1. Number 6, Wings of Nike, is at 6-1, along with number 2, Vivacious Spirit, at 6-1. Number 1, May Queen, makes some appeal, but gets 61.5 to shoulder. That is at 7-1. And number 3, Big Eyed Girl, is at 8-1. Civil Princess, for Keegan DeMello and JJ van Vuren, they topped the boards, only had this 2 starts. What happened in its second start?
The word on the streets is that the yard wasn't right, and she ran accordingly. She's held in the highest regard, by the way, by Johan Janssen van Vuren, and I know that last run was a bitter pill to swallow. She just didn't raise a gallop, so she's got to be a good deal better than that. She's drawn towards the inside, but in a small field, I expect her to have enough pace to work over and probably catch them on the stretch. I think one of her main dangers is her stable companion, number 3, Big Eyed Girl. Gavin Larina takes the ride, drawn hard up on the outside. The race on the 8th of April is worth having a look at, when Wings of Nike finished in front of Rosara, then Big Eyed Girl and Silver Winter. And although the weight suggests that Wings of Nike has the edge, I'm not convinced about Shaylin Nadu's runner. I think she's been weighted out of it. The handicapper for not winning a race, or sorry, rather for winning 1 race, has penalised her, 13 pounds. That is a lot. And I know last time she was under sufferance and had an extra half a kilo, with the jockey overweight, she got penalised again for running third to Bold Act, a form line which hasn't really shone. So I think that form line might turn around here. And number 3, Big Eyed Girl, going back down the straight, must have a big chance. Number 1, May Queen, one of our favourites. She has to give weight around, although she's a far deal better at the VAR than she is at Turffontein. She's got to have some sort of chance here. Just the fact that you probably found a winnable race again for the first time in a while.
Okay, so all eyes will be on the Argentinian-bred filly, number 8, Civil Princess. As we mentioned, she caught the eye in a big way, well back to make a winning debut. She didn't disappoint. She won by 3 legs. Clearly, something went seriously amiss in the next start, which was way back in February. Been given a chance to get over that. So, Civil Princess, JJ Van Vuren holds all the aces, as you heard there, with Big Eyed Girl and Civil Princess. May Queen not to be taken lightly. But the 9th and final race is a fillies and mares 74 handicap over 1,000 meters. Doesn't get much easier, that's for sure. Number 1, Dancing Dora at 6-1. Number 2, Insatiable at 15-4. 4, Samoa at 5-1. 5, Looking Hot at 6-1. 8, Clean Living 8-1. And the one that caught my eye, and I'm interested to hear what you think, number 9, Splendid Season at 6-1. They're all in the betting. The rest are in double figures. A trappy end to the day.
Splendid Season caught my eye as well, Graham, but I do have a big disclaimer about her over 1,000 meters. I think that if this was 1,200 meters, I'd be lining her up and having a full go on her. Not to say that she can't win. She's a huge chance. But I think that number 4, Samoa, will turn it around on that run on the 20th of April when finishing behind Berengaria. Samoa, I think, is slightly better over 1,000 meters. She seems to run her best races over the minimum trip. She does need a certain type of ride, but I think Simango Kamala is the right man for the job. The penultimate start is the one that I think rings loudest in my mind. That was in a classified stakes over 1,000 meters at the VAR. When finishing 3 1/4 lengths behind Smith and Wesson, she was desperately unlucky not to get into the finish on that occasion. She was balked for a furlong. I think she gets right into the conversation had she got a clear run. And then just to add to Samoa's chances is that Smith and Wesson has subsequently won again and taken a couple of steps up the ladder in terms of the quality that he's been racing against. So I think number 4, Samoa, although a 69, a horse running for the 70th time at this type of level, it's hard to get carried away and be confident. But I think number 4, Samoa, has found the right spot to at least give it a go. Number 2, Insatiable, is a horse that I've always respected in her races. It's her first run for the new yard, so maybe she could find an extra leg here, number 2, Insatiable. And then, as you mentioned, number 9, Splendid Season, is in the race. And so too is number 6, Lovebite. Going back to 1,000 meters, although she's no superstar, she might be at the right type of trip to run well.
So there we go. That's the assessment of the 9th and final race. As he mentioned earlier, Alistair's given us jackpot 1 as he suggested bet. So Alistair, we're going to bring it up on screen. Take us through your jackpot.
So jackpot 1 starts in race number 5 at Turffontein on the Sunday. That's at 2:05. My numbers in the first leg are 1, 2, 5, 7, and 12. So Heart of Eternity, count your chances. Titsikama Pearl, Azucar, and also Damastar. By 1, 2, 7, and 9, and those are Supreme Warrior, Under Your Spell, Cleaver Green, and also Hit Them Hard, Sunshine. By 1, 2, and 3 in the World Sports Betting Gold Ball, I'm not looking for any spooks there, so I'm going with Shangani, Nebraska, and Armagun. And then the final leg, 1, 3, and 8, race number 8. You might want to bracket a few more in that last leg.
So there we go. Alistair, thank you very much, as always, for your contribution. And let's hope we've got it right for Turffontein Sunday, the 7th of May.